Recently, extreme weather has been raging in China. Hailstorms ravage the northeastern provinces, damaging crops and vegetables and causing widespread devastation in major food-producing regions. The people lamented the hard times and worried about a future food crisis in China. Let's take a look at how the hailstorm hit each province. Here, hailstorms hit many parts of Jilin province. Currently, it's the fall season, the harvest time. The hailstones have destroyed the peasants' hard-earned harvests, leaving them in tears as the government will provide no assistance.
This big hail. I haven't seen such big hail for a long time. The leaves of the trees are all smashed out.
It's like winter here. See the mist in the distance? It's like a fairyland. You can see the fields full of hailstones. I've never seen that before in my life. The leaves of the willows are all smashed off and it's just relentless. The windshield on the back of the vehicle is shattered. The hail is so strong that the glass in the front is shattered too. It's like winter now. It's all over. Look how big it is. It's really over.
Slow down. Isn't this like winter now? I didn't think the freeway would be like this at this time of the year.
On the afternoon of September 18th, a large hailstorm suddenly fell. It's over. The vegetables that people planted were smashed. See how big the hail is? It's really over. It's been a difficult year for peasants and it's still coming down. Who knows when it's going to stop? The ground is all white. This is another province in northeast China, Heilongjiang, a major grain province in China. Hailstorms fell and the place turned into winter in a second, and the road was covered in white like snow.
Look at this hail. It's not snow. This is not snow and ice on the road in the winter. It's September 18th, 2023. It's a big hailstorm on the road. It's scary. Look outside. All these white ones are hailstones.
Look at the big hail that's falling outside. How thick it is. It's September 18th. What kind of weather is this?
These cabbages are ruined.
The three provinces of northeastern China are often regarded as one great region, encompassing the Jilin, Heilongjiang, and Liaoning provinces. The region is characterized by plains and mountains, fertile land, and deep soil. The mountains are surrounded by water, known as the White Mountains and Black Waters. As one of China's grain silos, it would have enjoyed a good harvest if extreme weather hadn't struck. Massive hailstorms swept through the region. Not a single province was spared. Here's the Liaoning province.
It's also hailing. What kind of weather is this? It took just a moment for the weather to turn like this. Look at the white hail outside.
The neighboring grassland province of Inner Mongolia was also affected by the hailstorm, which was later upgraded to large hailstones. How else are you going to farm? You say I'm going to plant 80 acres. He says he's going to plant 300 acres. And in the fall, I'm planning to get a new car, and he's going to get a new house. Two young men are going to replace their mothers-in-laws. Now it's the fall season. Look at that. There's nothing left. Forget about whatever plans you have made. Strangely enough, some cities in southwest China have also experienced winter-like weather overnight. For example, Nanning City, Guangxi Province has a humid subtropical monsoon climate with long summers and short winters. Under normal circumstances, this would still be the end of summer, the beginning of fall. Look, it's snowing. There are many signs of potential food insecurity in mainland China. These uncertainties have led the CCP to focus on food self-sufficiency in recent years, trying to stabilize domestic production to cope with external uncertainties. The current party leader Xi Jinping has emphasized that we must prepare for rainy days and always keep the string of food security tight. Do not expect to rely on the international agricultural market and agricultural resources to solve the fundamental problem of domestic food supply. So, what has the CCP done? It has implemented a campaign to return forests to farmland. What is returning forests to farmland? It's to change many orchards in various provinces and replant them with grain, including planting rice on dry land or mountain slopes. In 2020, the State Council issued the Notice on firmly curbing the non-agriculturalization of cultivated land. It prohibits 6 types of non-agriculturalization, including the unlawful occupation of arable land for greening and afforestation. It thus started the prelude to the process of returning forests to farmland. In the spring of 2023, tens of thousands of agricultural law enforcement teams went to the rural areas and started destroying forests, orchards, and cash crops. They even demolished houses, resulting in an alarming retrogression in the countryside since the reform and opening up of rural China more than 40 years ago. This extreme approach has again drawn the public's attention to China's food crisis. It's even perceived as a preparation for a possible food blockade or a regional war. When the common folk are faced with the destruction of their fruit farms, which they have been cultivating for years, they are not only saddened but also perplexed. On this farm, all the pomegranate trees were uprooted. Here, citrus trees were uprooted, some of which have been growing for more than 10 years. With a command from above, all the trees, big or small, have been cut down. The big ones were thrown away and became worthless. The small ones were gifted to people for nothing. The common folk suffered massive losses. They are heartbroken. But it wouldn't do if trees weren't cut down as directed. The people who cut down the trees better not let me catch them. If I catch you, I'll be sure to end your life. Cherry trees were plowed up in patches. It's comparable to the Great Leap Forward of the CCP back in those days. They are vicious.
This is the bamboo garden we have been contracted to manage for 3 years. Look how lovely these bamboo shoots are. They have to be cut down. If you want bamboo shoots, come and cut them yourself. Such a nice bamboo grove. It has been painstakingly cultivated for 3 years to raise such nice bamboo shoots. Now they're going to be chopped down. And the government said that it has to be converted to farmland now.
In 2017, Chengdu City in Sichuan Province spent 34.1 billion yuan, or US $4.7 billion, to build the Tianfu Greenway, a hundreds of kilometers long greenbelt. It was originally scheduled to be completed by the end of 2023. At the end of April 2023, the greenery that had just been planted was caught in the campaign and had to be removed on the grounds of reclaiming and resuming cultivation of farmland. The total area was as much as 101,000 wa. The move has led to strong criticism as being a waste of public money. The company in charge of the project stated that the operation was to restore the existing arable land and that there was no such thing as changing the original greening project into a farming project. Despite the public frustration and anger, there is still a great deal of vigor in agricultural control teams across the country. Under their active push, the campaign of destroying forests and uprooting seedlings, leveling graves and demolishing houses to return forests to farmland has become increasingly extreme, affecting more and more extensively. The fact that the CCP is pushing this campaign across the country at all costs and in defiance of public opinion indicates two things. First, the risk of food safety has become a major concern for the government. And second, the CCP is at its wit's end, and the more it acts recklessly, the more it deepens the crisis. According to official data from the Chinese government, in 2022, China's food production reached a record high. The total grain planting area was about 292 million acres, an increase of about 1.7 million acres over the previous year. The output was over 1,000 billion catty, an increase of 7.4 billion. So, its output has remained at 1.3 trillion catties for 8 consecutive years. That is more than 650 billion tons annually. We won't comment on the authenticity of this data for now. Based on it, 1.3 trillion catties of food production is far from enough to satisfy its food demand, according to China's official information. At present, China's annual per capita consumption of food is 540 kilograms, of which 70 kilograms is imported. In developed countries, the annual per capita consumption of food is 800 kilograms when the food demand is stabilized. According to this standard, China's food gap is too great. China is faced with a variety of constraints. It's difficult as it is to stabilize food production at 1.3 trillion catties, and there's little room for growth. The 2023 government work report only mentioned that food production will remain above 1.3 trillion catties as its projected annual development goal. In a nutshell, it's very difficult to increase food production in a country with a large population but relatively small land size. Also, the land quality is low with serious pollution and degradation and limited technological support. In reality, since 2004, China's foreign trade in agricultural products has changed from a net exporter to a net importer. In 2014, China officially became the world's #1 food importer. Since 2015, China has imported more than 100 million tons of food annually. Over the years, imported grain has accounted for more than 20% of total domestic grain production and roughly 15% of total grain consumption. These two characteristics highlight the vulnerability of China's grain imports. First, the high degree of foreign dependence is heavily influenced by the global food security situation. If the global food shortage worsens and China's demand is so high, China may not be able to buy enough food even if it spends more money. Second, the CCP's wolf diplomacy has already worsened its relationship with some of the world's major food exporters, such as the US, Canada, and Australia. If the CCP takes the risk of starting a war in the Taiwan Strait, the US, which controls the world's major maritime transportation routes, will make it difficult for China to transport food back to its ports even if it's able to buy it. Therefore, the global food security situation and the relationship between China and the US fundamentally restrict China's moderate importation of food. It's impossible for the CCP not to be stuck in a chokehold. The CCP is now attaching great importance to food security. It's quite similar to the 1960s when the relationship with the Soviet Union deteriorated. The CCP tried to prepare for war and prepare for food shortage and dig deeper burrows and save more food. Therefore, we can see that in 2023, the agricultural control has gone into full swing with the launch of the special operation stabilizing food security. It has aroused widespread public resentment. The original intent was to stabilize food production, but unfortunately, it went about it the wrong way, and it backfired. To make the matter worse, the weather hasn't been helpful. Not only does it not help, it seems to be intentionally opposed to this red regime. Wherever it produces food, it seems to experience large amounts of hailstones. The losses caused by the hailstorms in late September are expected to greatly offset the CCP's 6-month effort to return forest to farmland, leaving it further behind in its goal of food security.